Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be reading some crazy posts from Am I the Butthole? So if that sounds like your cup of tea, stick around and enjoy. And like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Am I the butthole for not telling a man that the research he was mansplaining to me was my own? Oh, good. I can't wait to read this. I don't normally post on Reddit, so please forgive me if I do this wrong. I, 33F, work in a very small, technical, specific, male-dominated field. I won't give too much information on it, as I think you could easily find my identity if I did, but let's just say it's a subcategory of law. I graduated 9 years ago. For anyone wondering, the system in my country is different than in the US, so I only studied for 5 years. And I'm now a lawyer, as well as a researcher. I publish some work here and there, but nothing too major, and no one on the outside of the field knows my work. Yesterday, I went to a bar with a couple of friends who introduced me to one of their friends who works in the same field as me. I was pretty excited to meet him because it's rare to meet people who work in that field. He doesn't exactly do the same thing as I do. He's not a lawyer, but a legal advisor, but we work on the same topics. So, naturally, we started talking about work. At one point, we were discussing a point on which we had different opinions, so I explained mine to him and he replied by saying that my opinion was based on nothing, while his was based on the work of a professional. You guessed it, me. He basically started explaining my work to me, but in a completely wrong way and missed all of my points. I asked him if he was sure that that was what the author meant, and he said that he was, because it was pretty simple actually. For another good 20 minutes, he explained all of it to me in details, like I was a first-year law student. I didn't say anything because it was pretty funny to watch him say things that were completely wrong with so much confidence. After that, the topic changed and the night went on, but at the end of the night, right before leaving, I decided to tell him that I was actually the person who wrote that work he had quoted, and that he hadn't really understood it. He reacted very badly and got angry, and he told me that I had manipulated him to humiliate him. He yelled at me for not saying it was my work at the beginning. I simply replied that he had embarrassed himself and left. I woke up this morning to texts from my friends saying I was wrong for causing drama and tension, and that I could have been nicer to their friend. I'm not sure I'm in the wrong here. I mean, yes, I could have told him right away, but is it that big of a deal that I didn't? I'm not exactly sure. Am I the butthole? No, I don't think so at all. I mean, could you have told him that it was your work? Yes, but he was also getting a lot of joy out of trying to mansplain to you and talk down to you, so at that point, fair game. If he wants to be an absolute asshat and act like he's the most intellectual being ever when he has completely missed the points and doesn't know half of what he was talking about, then I'm sorry, he's the one who made a fool of himself. And would they have been so annoyed if it was a bloke that had done it to a woman instead? Say the woman, or another bloke even, was like explaining this bloke's work to them and they just sat there and said nothing and then said at the end, no, they wouldn't. They'd find it funny, I bet. I think, yeah, it's all very toxic masculinity in here, isn't it?
Also, might I just add, he clearly was in the wrong because he hadn't even asked her name. If he had asked her name, he would have known. Or even if he had taken in her name, because I'm sure she introduced herself, he would have known who it was. And I would have liked to think, if he thinks he's so intellectual, put two and two together. Just adding that bit on whilst editing.
Edit. I forgot to make this clear, and maybe it's a bit of a misunderstanding, but both conversations happened only between the two of us. So yeah, you weren't even like trying to publicly humiliate him or anything. Like, it was literally just something between you. His little feelings are butthurt and he doesn't know how to cope, and that's why he's like being really angry and shouting, whereas anyone else would just be like, oh, okay, I missed the point entirely, sorry. I thought I understood the research, but clearly not. We were the only ones talking about our work, and our friends also weren't really there when I told him that I was the author, so it's not like I publicly humiliated him. The only thing embarrassing for him here is that a woman seemed smarter than him, and I think that's what he had an issue with. Yeah, I feel so too, to be fair. Edit 2, I've seen some comments claiming that this post was fake because that just doesn't happen. Oh, it does. Oh, it so does. I have had blokes like mansplain games to me, books to me before, and half the time you just sit there. You don't even argue with them. You're sitting there going, you're full of shite, mate. You're so wrong. But you just sit there and you don't say anything because there's no point arguing with them, because they will argue that the sky is frigging green if it means that they're going to come out on top. So there's no point. So you just sit there and just let it flow straight through one ear, out through the other, you know? I've seen many other stories where the same things happen. That's not realistic. I'm not trying to justify anything because I don't really care, but I just find it funny to see lots of comments from women sharing similar stories and then lots of comments from men saying it doesn't happen. Exactly. Exactly. And all of the men that say that doesn't happen are probably the exact ones that do it, you know? Because the ones who don't do it are also down in the comments going, oh, you know, I've seen guys do this to women before and I've just sat there grinning to myself because I know that they're about to make a fool of him. You know, the guys that don't do shite like that are the ones that aren't in the comments going, oh, it's not real, it's not real. It's the ones that do. And then down in the comments, Loria says, not the butthole, and kudos to you for being so calm when he mansplained your own research. Question, did your friends also reprimand their friend for screaming at you? I mean, that wasn't exactly friendly either. Edit for spelling. Yeah, exactly. Did they have a go at the guy for being a massive asshat and also taking it extremely badly when he found out that he was being a massive butthead? I doubt it. Next post, am I the butthole for refusing to babysit after my sister demanded I stop bringing my boyfriend to family events? I, 20M, have been dating my boyfriend Ryan, 22M, for about a year. My sister, Amanda, 28F, has a 4-year-old, Jack. After a family barbecue last month, Amanda pulled me aside and said, hey, just so you know, it might be better if you don't bring Ryan to the next few family gatherings. What? Why? Why do I think that I detect a sense of homophobia coming on here? I asked her why, and she got all awkward, saying, Jack's been asking questions about you and Ryan, and I don't think he's old enough to understand all that yet. What, that two people can like each other and actually love each other and be in a relationship? Shock horror! I told her we weren't exactly putting on a pride parade in her yard. We were literally just eating hot dogs and chatting with family. And she replied, it's just confusing for him. You know how kids are. I highly doubt that he's confused about it. He's 4. Like, 4-year-olds don't care. I was mad, but kept it together and said, if Ryan isn't welcome, maybe I just won't come either. And she sighed and said I was being dramatic. Last week, Amanda called me, panicked, because her babysitter cancelled. I told her I couldn't because Ryan and I already had plans. She begged, saying she was desperate, and I finally snapped. Why do you want me babysitting Jack? What if I accidentally expose him to my terrifying gay lifestyle? God forbid he sees me and Ryan together. Exactly. It's all of a sudden fine and dandy for the kid to be around you both when she wants something, you know? Oh, honestly, your sister's just a massive homophobe, and that's all it is. Amanda blew up. She accused me of using Jack to make a point and said that this isn't about Ryan, it's about you being spiteful. You're punishing Jack because you're mad at me. No, Jack wouldn't care if you can't find a babysitter because mummy's going to have to stay home with him. Jack wouldn't know any different. He's punishing you, Amanda, you massive bellend. She told my parents, and that's when real drama started. My mum called and said I was being selfish for letting a small disagreement ruin my relationship with Amanda. I told her it wasn't small and reminded her of Amanda's comments about confusing Jack. Mum brushed it off, saying she's doing what's best for her child. No, she's not. I said, what about what's best for me? Why do I have to hide part of my life to make her comfortable? Precisely. Well said. My dad sided with me. Good on you, Dad. He said Amanda was being narrow-minded and told her kids aren't confused by love, they're confused by people acting like it's something to hide. Exactly, bingo. Amanda then put the drama into the fam group chat. My uncle said, it's not homophobic to want to protect your kids from topics they're not ready for. Why push it? This set off my cousin. She said, if Jack's old enough to understand that Amanda and Mike are married, then he's old enough to understand Uncle, me, has a boyfriend. Exactly. It's not like you're going in there going full education, showing them how everyone goes about their bedroom business, is it? Like, it's not that deep. She accused Amanda of being a hypocrite and called out my uncle too, saying, "Let's not make this about your own outdated beliefs." She also called Amanda a stuck-up bee, and my uncle called my cousin a drama queen. My aunt chimed in on the family chat saying, "I don't agree with my lifestyle, but we should still support each other." Oh, piss off, aunt. My grandmother replied, "Support doesn't mean tolerating disrespect." Like, what the hell? Yeah, it just seems like your family is like divided. One side are massive bigots and the other side are actually accepting. Unfortunately for you, it seems to be that the bigot side is the louder and larger side, which sucks. Amanda's husband Mike texted me saying, "Look, I don't have an issue with you or Ryan, but this is getting out of hand. Amanda's just trying to avoid awkward situations from Jack, not insult you." Lies! Massive lies! I told him it's already insulting. Would she say the same if I were dating a woman? He left me on scene because he's got nothing to say to that, has he? Because he knows you're right. Am I the butthole? No, absolutely not. Never babysit for her again. Tell her where to go swing. She can sort it out herself. It's funny, isn't it, how she's absolutely fine with Jack being around you two when it all of a sudden suits her. Like, no, tell her piss off. And then down in the comments, deleted user says, "Not the butthole. If Jack is old enough to understand a man and a woman being together, he's old enough to understand a man and a man being together. I am also gay, and I would have said the same thing to my sister. It's disappointing that this has divided your family. It really brings out their true colours. I think you should go little to no contact with your sister." And then the OP replies, "I haven't spoken to my sister in days now. I'm definitely considering going no contact with her. Some of these comments are saying that she is using Jack as a way to hide her homophobia. Yes, a hard agree. And honestly, now that I think about it, she might be. What's confusing to me is my whole family were supportive of me when I came out, and they were also nice and respectful to Ryan when I introduced him to the family. I just don't know why everyone has switched up all of a sudden. Like, I have a feeling that at the time you were providing something to them that they wanted, and that's why they've switched up now that you're not providing something that they want, you know? Have a think about it. Were you doing babysitting duties all the time? Were you helping them out with like cleaning or something? My phone there, oh so rudely interrupting me. That is not a good thing. I don't like it when it makes noise. But no, honestly, I would just look back on it, and I bet you any money at that point in time when they were also accepting, you had something that they wanted. And yeah, I would just ditch them all. Ditch them. Just go no contact until they learn to grow up a little bit. Obviously, don't go no contact with the people who actually tried to support you, but the rest, just say, "Look, until you can stop being absolute turds, I don't want to outdo with you." Next post, "Am I the butthole for leaving in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner because of pumpkin pie?" Oh, how I do love a good holiday story where the whole family argue over the most silly things. Because it always happens, doesn't it? It's every year someone has to fall out over something that's actually seems on the forefront to be very silly and small. But then usually there is something deep-rooted in there that really needed to just come out. So yeah, I'm all for these holiday arguments. She says, never leaving her house and doesn't see the family really over Christmas at all. They all live too far away. It's not because I'm a recluse, I promise. My 32F mother, 60F, hosts Thanksgiving dinner at her house every year. It's a small event with my parents, me, my brother's family, and my sister-in-law's family attending. We avoid family quarrels by implementing a strict no politics rule and trying our best to be civil. So you're all very prone to having a family quarrel. I see. I should probably mention that we are not a particularly close-knit family. We rarely see each other beyond these events since my brother lives in South Africa and I travel a lot due to my work. Thanksgiving is important to my mum since it's one of the rare times we are all together. Anyway, the main problem I have with my mother is her constant critique of me. She has a habit of making passive-aggressive comments about my life choices, from my career to my lack of children to the way I dress. I've addressed this with her multiple times, but she doesn't really seem aware of it. My father claims it's just her way of fussing and expressing that she cares. Nah, she sounds like a bully, man. That's not how you show you care, by being negative all the time, but okay then. It does hurt though, because my brother is never criticised in the same manner. I cannot entirely fault her for her criticism, since I did majorly mess up my life a few months ago, depression. So you didn't majorly mess up your life, you had an illness. And it has affected her opinion of me negatively. It does not excuse the way I acted, but I just wanted to explain why I left. By the time we finished dinner, I was a bit prickly because of some of her commentary. I'm wondering why you have depression, OP? Couldn't imagine why. I made a cake for dessert. I was explicitly put in charge of it, and no one specified exactly what I should make, so I opted for maple cheesecake. I did my best, and I think it looked okay. My mum normally makes pumpkin pie, but I really hate pumpkins. They make me gag. Yeah, I hate pumpkin pie. Anything pumpkin flavoured, disgusting. So I thought perhaps we could try something new. As I was bringing out the cheesecake, my mum eyed it somewhat warily and announced that she'd decided to make the usual pie as well. This caught me off guard. I asked why she didn't tell me beforehand, and she said something like, "Well, we figured you'd do your own thing, so I thought it was best to have a backup." What a cow. She went on to cut the pie and serve it to everyone, instructing me to leave the cheesecake in the kitchen. When someone asked to try my dessert, she said, "Let's not mix too many flavours at once." Yeah, massive, massive cow. She's horrid. Can tell. Which just felt passive aggressive. I know it's immature for an adult to get this upset over triviality, but I just politely refused as she was handing me a slice of pie, retrieved my coat, and left. People were calling after me, I think, but by that point I was crying for some reason, and it would have been too humiliating to have an emotional outburst in front of everyone for no real reason. The reason you're crying, OP, is because your mum purposefully planned and orchestrated a way to humiliate you and bully you in front of your family. She did all this shite on purpose. She asked you to do the dessert, I feel, from my perspective, on purpose, so that she could then go, "Oh, no, well, I knew you'd F it up, so I had to make a spare." How is a maple cheesecake effing it up? I don't know what maple tastes like. I've never had it, but I do love a cheesecake. How is that messing up dessert? In fact, I would take cheesecake over your mum's rancid pumpkin pie any day, OP. My mum just texted me saying that it was incredibly rude and immature of me to leave like that, especially on Thanksgiving. Oh, get lost, mother. My brother also sent me a message saying I'm acting irrationally. I feel horrible for leaving so abruptly, especially because my parents are getting older and we are already not close. Something about my mother seems to turn me into a neurotic teenager, and I hate it. It's because she's bullying you, OP. Like, in a really sly way. She's picking at you and knocking you down every time you see her. Like, it's no wonder you feel so on edge around her all the time. Kuroku Meinu says, I have no idea if I pronounced that right, by the way. I apologise if I have completely butchered that, but here we are. Not the butthole. If your mother's way of fussing and expressing that she cares looks, sounds, and feels like she's being a deliberately nasty person, then I'm guessing she is really just being a deliberately nasty person. Walks like a duck and all that. I'd tell your father this. Your mother premeditated the whole dessert thing right down to the kick in the teeth of excluding the dessert you made from the table. Exactly. We're on the same wavelength here, you and me, commenter. She got off on being cruel in this petty way for whatever warped reason. This kind of thing is no accident and not care in any way. Golden Boy Brother can't see through it because he's never the target. Dad is trying to see it through the best possible lens. Your mother won't admit to yourself what she's really doing, even though as she deliberately does it, their blindness doesn't mean she isn't doing it. Exactly. They're all just used to her being like this, and that's even more concerning because that means that she's just been picking on you relentlessly for your whole life. So they just see this as your regular relationship dynamic, which is a disgraceful way to treat your daughter. Like, I couldn't imagine ever picking on one of my kids like that. There's the odd times where I have to be like, "Oh, love, you should probably, tidy up your hair or something, say for school, or, or you've got some on your jumper, your school jumper, you might need to go change that." And that's as far as it goes. But I try never to say anything negative about my kids' appearances. If the way they choose to dress is the way they choose to dress, as long as it's appropriate, as long as it's not like trying to go outside in a pair of Speedos or something, then it's just let them do what they're gonna do and support them. I don't get this being mean to your kids. It's like they get a kick out of it and it's weird behavior. Audio Addict 321 says, not just excluding it from the dinner table, but actively telling someone trying to eat the damn cheesecake that they can't. Exactly. OP, the only reason you don't know with absolute certainty that your mother is the a-hole here is because you are used to her abuse. I wouldn't be surprised if your depression were directly tied to the way she diminishes you and your brother, do nothing about it. Exactly. Are you able to go to therapy? Therapy is literally a person to talk to who can give you an outside perspective and whose only interest is helping you decide how you want to act and protect yourself, etc., regarding the things that happen around you and rattling around in your head. OP, I'm so sorry your family has failed you here. Yeah, I just think your mum has just bullied you your whole life and now you think that that's your normal dynamic and it's just mum being mum. No, it's mum being a bellend. Like, tell her to do one. Am I the butthole for beating my girlfriend's brother at a game when I would normally let him win to prove a point? When I would visit my girlfriend's house, I would sometimes play games with her little brother, who is 12. When I would play competitive games against him, I would normally let him win, Call of Duty, etc. I was visiting again a few days ago, and her little brother had 2 of his friends over, and I overheard them talking about me. He was telling them how bad I was at games, and it must make me mentally disabled to be so bad. Little turd. He used more offensive language. He said my girlfriend must be stupid to be dating me too. I could hear his friends laughing about it. It was quite hurtful as I had tried to be friendly with him. A bit later I said to him, "Want to play some games, buddy?" And he acted polite, but I could see his friends laughing to themselves. I played Call of Duty against him and did not go easy. Good, good, good. Time for him to learn a lesson of what happens when you run your mouth and be nasty to people. His friends were now laughing at him, and he was on the verge of tears before he stormed off to his room. My girlfriend wasn't happy. Later in the car, she accused me of deliberately making her brother cry. I mean, you kinda did, but totally valid. I told her I wasn't trying to do that, I just didn't like how he was talking about me or her. Am I the butthole? She said he is just a kid and I should have just left it. No, because then that's when kids grow up to be bullying little turds and horrible to other kids. Teach him a lesson, teach him what happens when you run your mouth and talk nasty about someone for no reason. It's not like you went in there and belted him one, is it? You went in there and beat him on the Call of Duty game and that was enough of a lesson for him. If he didn't want to F around and find out, he should not have opened his mouth and started saying all that stuff. Your girlfriend is part of the problem because she's just basically making excuses for him. He's 12, he's more than old enough to know right and wrong and how and you should and shouldn't talk about people, you know? So, down in the comments, philosophical war pig. Not the butthole. Your girlfriend's brother trash talking you behind your back wasn't cool. Calling you mentally disabled wasn't cool. I know he's just a kid, but he's a jerk. He needed to be humbled. Good job, OP. Keep smashing the little shite, lol. And then Clean Perspective 2345 says, exactly, he crossed a line talking about you like that, especially in front of his friends. Sometimes a little humbling is necessary. Exactly. And again, it's not like you went in there and belted him. I see this as absolutely perfect and age appropriate justice. And then I think this is the last post now for today. And this one says, am I the butthole for refusing to label my wedding cake as vegan because a guest felt tricked? Can already see where this is going. My husband, 32M, and I, 30F, had a vegan wedding because we're both vegan. We made it clear in advance that the food and cake would be plant-based, and no one complained, until the reception. The cake was gorgeous, 3 tiers decorated with edible flowers. Towards the end of the night, one of my husband's aunts, Linda, came up to me looking visibly upset. She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display. Oh my God. Linda, if this is the only problem you've got, mate, then I'd love to live your life, honestly. Because it felt like it was pushing my lifestyle on everyone. Oh, Linda, grow up. I told her the cake wasn't meant to make a statement. It was just the dessert we chose for our wedding. She insisted I either move the cake off the main table or add a sign saying it was vegan so people weren't tricked into eating it. It is a cake. What does it matter? I refused because 1, it was my wedding, and 2, it's a cake, not propaganda, and 3, no one else seemed to care. Linda ended up storming out, and now my in-laws are saying I should have compromised to avoid drama. No. I think Linda's reaction was ridiculous, but my husband thinks I could have put a sign up to keep the peace. Am I the butthole? No. They know you're vegan, so they should expect that your wedding food is going to be vegan. It's not Linda's bloody wedding. If Linda wants a wedding cake made of fillet steak, then she needs to go and get married herself, doesn't she? Otherwise, shut up and put up. I am not vegan. I'm not vegetarian. To be honest, I will eat just about anything. To be quite fair, I identify as a human dustbin in my eating habits. But I went a couple years ago to a fully vegan wedding, and I could tell you what, the food was banging. It was so good. It was really good. And I didn't care that it was vegan food because I was hungry. And I also drank a hell of a lot of wine, so I needed something to soak up all that wine. And honestly, the food was fine. People on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to veganism annoy me. Militant vegans annoy me, and militant non-vegans annoy me. What it should be is, okay, we both have our preferences and lifestyles. I will respect yours if you respect mine, and vice versa. Happy days, everyone's happy and everyone gets on, and it won't hurt you to eat vegan for one day, Linda. Grow up. And then down in the comments, Blue Eyed Wolf says, not the butthole. The whole thing was vegan. It was your wedding. Your choice. I wouldn't feel tricked by eating a vegan cake at all. She has some issues. Let her see them, be upset. You don't owe her anything. Putting up a sign would have rewarded her bad entitled behaviour. You had no reason to do it. Exactly. We don't reward bad behaviour. Treat her like a child. If she's going to behave badly, you ignore the bad behaviour and refuse to acknowledge it and pander to it. She wants to act like a kid, treat her like a kid. And then Leave Interesting 3290 says, they told everyone the wedding was going to be vegan. How stupid does she have to be surprised that the cake was vegan? Yeah, exactly. Like, Linda just sounds like she loves something to moan about, doesn't she? And then, what do you know? I lied. It wasn't the last post. This is the last post. Am I the butthole for telling my friend she shouldn't have chosen her sperm donor? Oh, okay. Oh, my 30F friends, 32F and 32F, are having their 4th baby. Let's call them Alison and Jenna. They have 3 daughters already, 10, 7 and 5, that were birthed by Alison when she was married to her now ex-husband. They decided they wanted to have a 4th because Jenna would like to have another baby and carry the baby. They chose to do a sperm donor through a fertility clinic. It's one of those ones where you flip through a book and pick out the donor based on your chosen criteria, like height, hair colour, hobbies, etc. Is that a thing? Is that actually a thing for when you're looking for a sperm donor? Like a catalogue for jizz? Well, learn something new every day. The sperm donor they chose is a black man. Alison, Jenna, and all 3 of her daughters are fully white. I told them that they made a mistake choosing that particular donor and that they should have chosen a white donor. Okay, yikes. I told them I feel as though they are doing a disservice to their future child. Oh my goodness. They will look different than all of their siblings and grow up completely away from any sort of black culture and have no black relatives. They told me I was being racist and that mixed babies are cute. Okay, I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. I'm not sure I'm qualified to, considering I look like Casper on a good day. My issue isn't with mixed babies. My issue is that 2 white women chose to have a mixed baby knowing what obstacles she will face and that neither of them will be able to relate to her. Yes, I know they face discrimination as lesbians, but I don't think that's the same as what black people deal with. Am I the butthole for telling her they should have chosen a different sperm donor? I feel like being like, oh yeah, don't choose a black sperm donor is kind of like, I don't like the wording of that, but then I also can understand the whole thing of bringing up a child that's gonna have no connections to their heritage can be problematic also. And that the only reason you have for doing that is, oh, well, mixed race babies are cute. It's like, okay, but this kid's going to have no connection to their heritage. What are you going to do to make sure that they do have that connection and don't end up feeling lost in life? So I feel like the comments are going to be extremely helpful here because I have never had to face any issues that someone who is black or mixed race has had to face. So yeah, I'm not sure what to say on this one really. So I'm going to read the comments to hopefully try and shed some light on where this stands, because I feel completely unqualified to make an opinion on this one, to be honest. So down in the comments, I cannot see the user because I've cut it off. What an idiot. It might be there on the screen now, but I can't see it from where I'm reading off of. Not the butthole. If they only chose the donor so they could have a mixed race baby. I'm mixed, black and white. This is effing terrible. My black parent was very hands-off in my cultural raising because they have their own trauma around their race. And so it took me a long time to really realise that I was black, even though I was experiencing a lot of racism in my majority white schools, communities, etc. I thought I was white, hated that I didn't look like my white parents or friends, never had any black role models to support me and be there for me to help me cope with the racism. It was not good, and it's still taking me a lot of time to accept myself for who I am as a mixed race person and understand how to express my cultural identity and feel like a valid member of my ethnic communities. Some of the racism I faced was from racist white women who thought that mixed babies are so cute, only cute if they have certain features and don't look too black. White women would tell me to my face as a child which of my mixed features they liked and which ones they didn't. That's awful. And they thought that they were complimenting me by saying so. It's a disgusting fetish that reeks of eugenics. Yeah, it kind of feels like playing in cultures and ethnicities for fun, which is really wrong, you know, especially considering the history around it all, you know, feels very wrong. A racist fetish that has harmed mixed race people. They're effed up for it, and it was their own motivation for picking that donor, and I feel terrible for their kid and the struggles they're going to go through. And then Suitable Tia 6179 replied to that comment saying this: a neighbour had a mixed race marriage, which is fine. They were both lovely people in a wonderful, loving, stable marriage. Their daughter, however, went through hell. In school, she was the odd one out, accepted by neither ethnic groups. She had such a hard time with bullies and rejection, both. Her dad was black and very involved in her life. The extended families, both sides, were not. I think they were no contact before the phrase was ever thought up. It was bad enough that I decided if I fell in love and had a mixed race marriage, I would not feel comfortable having kids and subjecting them to that. It's not right. People shouldn't care, but it is the reality many people live in. If the friends are going for a mixed race child because they're cute or as some sort of wild virtue signaling, then they're doing their future child a disservice. Besides, all babies are cute, except my sister. I just got to put that dig in there, hey? Neither of my grandmothers could bring themselves to call her cute. Fortunately, she grew out the frog phase. Oh, your poor sister. Mean. But no, I can absolutely see how it would be problematic with those reasons that this commenter and the commenter before have brought forward. Okay, so we're going to leave it there for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it all the way to the end, I thank you very, very much. Some quite insightful little bits and bobs then, from dealing with narky parents, and then obviously the last post. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you very, very, very much. And if you'd like to give a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate you even more. I am going to get off in a minute so I can go and feed my cat. They are very hungry. You're hungry, yes. So I'm going to go and feed them so I'm not getting trampled. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. Goodbye.